Hey guys, there's some breaking news that I thought I would drop off the top of this interview because obviously this story broke shortly after I talked to our friend Maureen Callahan. Of course, when Prince William is having an epic night in Rio, celebrating Earthshot with Kylie Minogue and Shawn Mendes, and really putting this project on the map. Meghan's team has to leak that she's spotted on a Nepo baby movie set opposite Lily Collins and Jack Quaid. And while her team might consider this a win, a new film titled Close Personal Friends, it just proves to me that Meghan continues to follow disgraced Sarah Ferguson's post royal life playbook. Both women have written children's books. Both women have been podcast hosts. Both women have been reality/lifestyle show stars. And both women have collaborated with Oprah Winfrey. Now Meghan's playing herself on screen, just like Fergie did on Friends. The timing also feels a little too convenient. Earlier today, Page Six ran a piece titled Hollywood Has Soured on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The article quoted a source saying there's no appetite left for them in LA. Another source saying people are sick of them. The act has gotten stale. But my favorite line, they're just hopeless in professional settings. But a source close to Meghan claims she's been flooded with offers, but this is Meghan's way of gently putting her toe back in the water and saying how she enjoys being back on set. So, was this movie leak a coincidence or a clever attempt to distract from the bad press? You tell me, let me know in the comments below, and enjoy my chat with Maureen Callahan. Thanks so much. Hi, welcome to Recollections May Vary, a royal recap. I'm Kinsey Schofield here with Maureen Callahan, host of The Nerve. First of all, I saw you totally destroy Meghan Markle over the Dodgers video, and I don't know if I've ever laughed so hard in my life. Meghan Markle, baseball fan, who knew?
Who knew? We destroyed that video on Tuesday's Nerve, and then we are going to have our great pal, Mark Bowden, body language expert, nonpareil. He will be on the mini this Saturday, and we will be revisiting that video, which to me, Kinsey, most closely resembles like a security camera affixed to an office complex or, like a mansion that has captured a crime in progress, like a felony, and the felony is homicide, and the murder victim is Harry's soul.
We
And
watched his spirit leave his body.
he is dead inside. He is completely dead inside while his insufferable, beyond fake wife screeches with whoever her paid friend of the moment is and jumps up and down. Like, people don't behave this way. Nobody behaves this way.
Not grown
Meghan,
women.
I like, and you know what? Meghan wants so much attention, but she will not turn her comments on. Doesn't that tell you everything? She
Yes.
wants the attention she wants, and she wants the reality she wants, and the comments are perpetually off because she doesn't want to hear what 99.9% of the population thinks, which is, we've had it with you, lady. Please go the F away.
Mm-hmm. But she tells Fortune that her comments are off to protect her fans because her fans don't need the negativity. Don't
Oh, like
forget.
that means her fans are weak though. And who would want people who admire you who are that weak, who
Right.
couldn't take, typically what happens is any member of a celebrity army, I can't even call her a celebrity. She's like by proxy. She's only famous because she's married to this, you know, who wants followers who are so weak they couldn't possibly take criticism of their like would be, idol. It's
Yeah.
just so full of it.
Well, I mean, she is full of it. That's a lie because her followers pursue fights and go after people and try and
Yeah.
I mean, I just talked to Tom Bauer who told me that they accosted him at the Invictus games. They got in his face and he felt threatened. So, like, they're not just looking for fights online; they're looking for fights in real life too. Let's talk about
Wow.
some breaking news that I know is
Mhm.
going to thrill you. Meghan Markle has just sent out a celebratory email highlighting her inclusion on Oprah's coveted annual holiday gift guide. Here's what Oprah says about the slimy jam. Before my neighbor Meghan, Meghan is just so livid right now that the word Duchess has not been included in this
Oh,
description.
true.
Started her business. She shared her homemade recipes with us. I love to drizzle it on an English muffin or yogurt or ice cream. This girl is on Ozempic, so we know that this is bull that she's eating any of those things.
Hmm. Hmm.
I also love bringing a jam or preserve as a hostess gift. Get out of here with that. Bring me a nice candle, not a
Hmm.
$64 candle, though. And with this pretty box set of orange, marmalade, and raspberry and strawberry spreads, just add a bow and you're ready to go. I mean, let's just be honest. The Oprah gift guide is not what it used to be, right? Like, okay, maybe 10 years ago we cared, but now all we think about is pictures of Oprah with Harvey Weinstein and, the rest of the gutter that she has associated with over the
Hmm.
years.
Hmm. Oprah, listen, Oprah's got bigger problems coming her way because her platonic friend Gail is getting the boot at CBS Mornings, and Gail's in denial about it, but it's happening. And I love this because, I maintain that for many years now, Oprah has been a very dark force in American culture, in Western culture, really. And I don't understand what she's doing, aligning herself in any way with one Meghan Markle at all. Oprah's done. The final, cherry on this pie was Oprah filmed again with Gail and Kris Jenner and Tyler Perry, and they're all dancing in circles at Beyonce's like final night of her residency or her tour in Las Vegas, and it's all very let them eat cake. If
Mhm.
I'm a budding entrepreneur, and I'm being generous by giving Meghan that appellation of entrepreneur, I don't think I'm going to Oprah. I don't
Yeah.
think I want her approval, her stamp of approval. I don't want it.
Yeah, well, Megan would show up to an opening of a Walmart at this point. Like that's
Hmm.
basically what we've seen from her. She wants any and all attention. I probably should have stacked these closer together, but I did think it was interesting that furious Canadians are turning on Prince Harry as he announces Toronto visit days after supporting the Dodgers at the World Series. Now, Meghan Markle's friend, the one that's in the Banshee video.
Do we even know her name?
Yeah, I know it. I don't. It's the woman that Megan recently attended the charity event and cried. The tennis tournament. Her son passed away. Um, she appears on season one of With Love, Megan. Uh, I think they were wearing. There are pictures of them wearing T-shirts that say like "tough as a mother" or something like this.
Oh,
Yes,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
listen, I feel terrible for this woman that she lost her child, like something no one should ever have to go through. But Megan's using her, and that we don't know her name basically says it all. If this were Megan's best friend, we would know her name just as we know Gail as the best platonic friend of Oprah.
Gail. Yeah, she established this relationship apparently during her relationship with Trevor Ingleson. So when we look at miserable Prince Harry, God knows what the source is. But she made the claim that Harry was sad because it was his team losing. And to that I say, what a coward to be wearing a Los Angeles Dodgers cap during the World Series then. You know what I'm saying? And then think about if you Google Meghan Markle and the Blue Jays, there are hundreds of pictures of her wearing that cap when she lived in Canada. These people are loyal to no one, nothing, not even sports teams.
You know what this reminds me of? So if you watch the behind the scenes DVD of the making of Gone Girl, which we also just revisited on the Nerve because Ben Affleck references the woodshed
Oh,
more than once. Uh, Now there is a commentary between Ben Affleck and David Fincher
mhm.
because at a crucial point in that film when Ben's character is trying to move about incognito with his wife missing, he is wearing a baseball cap at the airport, and Fincher wanted him in a Yankees baseball cap, and Ben Affleck said no. I am a diehard Boston Red Sox fan. Kinsey, production shut down for 4 days as they fought it out over whether Ben Affleck would wear a Yankees cap or a Sox cap. Now, whatever you think of the professionalism there, that is a fan.
Right. Right. That we applaud that commitment. At
Loyalty.
least. Yes, yes, exactly. So, according to the Daily Mail, days after Harry donned a Dodgers hat during the World Series, Canadians were in no mood to read the news that Harry was planning a visit to Toronto. CTV News reported that Harry would be in Toronto this week, with his office confirming that he'd be arriving on Wednesday for a series of events to support the Canadian Armed Forces and veteran community. One comment said, "Who really cares? Stop giving free publicity to an extremely wealthy, extremely privileged, extremely spoiled narcissist who was disloyal to his own father, who just happens to be the King of Canada." Another said, "He's a Dodgers fan. Stay away. I don't think he realizes how deep our feelings are for the Blue Jays. I did like him. My feelings have changed." This is just such a great example of how Harry and Meghan don't think about the consequences of their actions. Is it not? You know, you are planning a trip to Canada. Why the hell would you sit in front of Magic Johnson wearing a Dodgers cap? It's just because Meghan Markle wants the publicity, especially tacky in the midst of the chaos surrounding Prince Andrew. If we are really to believe in Project Thaw, where Harry and Meghan are trying to inch their way back into the British royal family, shouldn't they keep their asses at home behind closed doors while shit is hitting the fan in the palace?
Well, that's what I think the video from inside the house was very telling. Um, because you would think smart people would take one look at what is going on with Andrew. And by the way, the humiliations continue. The king is not done. We're stripping more and more and more until we're down to the studs. Okay.
Mm.
And Andrew is left with nothing. You would think you would take one look at that and say, go to ground, just behave, just let this play out, because William clearly has his sights trained on these two as the next ones. But this is the level of desperation. I think Meghan Markle is really ruled by panic and fear. I think she is a fear-based person, and her
And you
greatest
are so
fear.
right. That's since 2018 or 20, that's at least since 2017, when we know that she threatened to, according to Valentine Lowe, threatened to break up with Harry unless he now announced their relationship. I think that is the like the most honest thing, the most facts that you've ever dropped here on this podcast.
Yes, and I also, there are rumors and theories floating around, and they're just rumors and theories. But as we have come to regrettably know this psyche, I would not be surprised if there was a pregnancy scare
Mm.
that helped move this train along.
Oh,
Do you know what
allegedly,
I'm saying?
allegedly. I do. I do.
Allegedly. And so she cannot calm herself down in order to think things through logically and strategically and what might be best. And so what we get is this, again, a video that looks like a crime scene. Again, they wanted privacy. They wanted privacy. Now we're getting stuff from inside the home, inside the four walls of this really tragic, grim looking screening room, which, uh, and he really looks like misery personified. He clearly has no friends. Typically, what one does when a major sporting event is on, and Game 7 World Series, Super Bowl, guys have their friends over and they've got booze and they've got food and it's a whole thing. But no, Harry's got nobody but this
He's
banshee.
surrounded by perimenopause and menopausal women. I mean, he must be so, and I'm saying that as somebody that's like dealing with, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying if you're a 40 something year old man who's homesick, what a nightmare from hell.
No, no, no. If you're a 40-something-year-old prince of the blood who is used to flying to Vegas private at a moment's notice because you want to party with some sex workers allegedly and some maybe illegal substances allegedly, that's what you're used to. And someone like Harry would be like scrolling through Raya or OnlyFans for someone 20 years his junior. Instead, we're stuck here with this one who is so panicked that people think, because this is what logical people think, they're next. They know it's coming. They're living in fear. They're in their foxhole. She feels that if she shows us how happy she is, and if she elicits out of her vocal cords this synthetic joy that sounds like just a flat screeching going on, ah, that we're all going to be convinced that life's never been better for those two.
Can I say something so mean? And I know my audience is going to be disappointed in me.
I think they like it when a little bit of your inner skeptic or critic comes out, Kinsey. I do.
So I love Hallmark movies, but I was watching a series of them with a certain actor. And I was like,
Hmm.
this is kind of embarrassing that this is like the only, like, I'm glad I'm able to consume this, but how embarrassing for this man that this is all the work he's doing,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
Hallmark movie number 57. And
Hmm.
then it occurred to me, oh my God, this is what Meghan Markle was doing before she married Harry. She was doing Hallmark movies. So I'm sitting there like kind of embarrassing for this guy. And thankfully, Suits was wrapping up, or her role on Suits was wrapping up. So I think mostly I mean, good for that guy who's employed, truly. But it
Hmm.
is kind of embarrassing that Meghan was falling into the Hallmark rabbit hole right before she married Prince Harry. It is the greatest thing that ever happened to this woman.
Well, speaking of desperation, panic moves, etc., remember there were rumblings that when she debuted on the cover of Vanity Fair, previously unknown to Americans, I don't care what this woman's trying to convince the British realm of, uh, and she was basically cementing herself as Harry's intended, his future wife. That is a
Yes.
declaration that came as a surprise to the palace.
Mm-hmm.
That is a sideways behind that's all manipulations.
What I will say is that you're absolutely right. That magazine cover, the way that her team, and I believe it's Tom Bauer that reveals this, the way that her team secured that is, I'm in a relationship with Prince Harry.
Mhm.
And then once the cover comes out, Wild About Harry, she feigns outrage and starts calling and threatening people, saying, I wanted this article to be about my philanthropy, not my relationship with Harry. And we
Right.
know that the entire, like the way she secured the interview in itself was through her relationship with Harry. So you're so right about this, consistently manipulative and, securing things, going the sinister
Behind the
route.
back,
Yeah, yeah.
refusing to follow royal protocol whatsoever. And by the way, it's such a effing lie, excuse me, where's my grammar? That article would have been about her philanthropy because she was a nobody. She
Yeah.
was a nobody. Nobody, it would be like picking some random person off the street and being like, would you like a 5-page Vanity Fair profile for whatever you're up to? It's
Yeah.
that level of like that she even got away with that. That the press didn't even say, hey, wait, what? We
Right.
just met you yesterday, sister.
And it's not like she built a school and paid for a school in Nigeria to be built or something. Like she showed up and took pictures around water things that water holes. Like it's not even, I mean, read Tom Bauer's book about the outfit changes between photos as she hugs children. It's
Hmm.
ridiculous. Who doesn't want energy, metabolic, immune, and skin support? Meet Peak, a luxury brand transforming wellness with the absolute best rare and precious plants, cutting edge ingredients, and formulations rooted in traditional wisdom. Their science backed botanicals, minerals, and supplements support sustained energy, metabolic function, immune health, and radiant skin, making it easy to live each day with vitality. One of their newest essentials, the Deep Hydration Protocol, is a two-part drinkable skincare system that keeps your body and skin hydrated while promoting better sleep. Made without sugar, fillers, or artificial flavors, and crafted with natural ingredients for a clean, spa-like taste you can feel good about. Daily use supports hydration, glowing skin, improved sleep, and sustained energy. In the morning, I use BT Fountain. This is their beauty electrolyte. It helps hydrate from within, smooth skin, and gives me lasting energy. But in the evening, I am so eager to reach for my RE fountain, the calming electrolyte. It contains a gentle form of magnesium that eases tension and helps me get deep, restful sleep without feeling groggy the next day. Wake up rested and stay hydrated all day. Get 20% off for life, a complimentary gift, and explore Peak's clean, pure ingredient products at peaklife.com/Kinsey. That's PIQUE life.com/Kinsey. This is hydration redefined. Try it and glow from the inside out. Now back to the show. Still kind of on the Prince Harry train. A unique but not so unique moment for the Sussexes where they fight back when they didn't like a headline. Prince Harry issues defiant statement denying claims he was trying to upstage William by announcing pseudo royal Canada trip at the same time his brother's 5-day tour of Brazil starts. So this was one of my arguments. I felt like the palace had to nip the Prince Andrew thing in the bud, at least for Prince William. I mean, the king's visit with Pope Leo, a blimp. It's supposed to
Yeah.
be like this huge historic moment, and a blimp because of the Prince Andrew scandal. And I said, you've got to nip this in the bud now because William wants all eyes to be on Earthshot. And if the bleeding doesn't stop, then there will be not a lot of headlines on Earthshot, and then William will be absolutely fuming. So William lands in Brazil to start his Earthshot trip,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden Prince Harry announces that he's going to Canada this week. So, but he's denying deliberately trying to overshadow William,
Of
which they do.
course,
They do
Kinsey,
this all
please.
the time. I remember when I was in Boston for Earthshot, standing in the cold, waiting to see Catherine pop out of the car in that beautiful green dress, and Harry and Meghan drop a Netflix trailer. So this is just like a typical Tuesday for them. I want to tell you though, so in a statement, Harry's team, please listen to this and laugh out loud with me, blamed the timing on the fact that he is not afforded the same level of security and protection as other working members of the royal family. Girl, you are not a working member of the royal family. It means, therefore, that the period of time in which we can release details of events is much more truncated than it is for His Majesty the King or the Prince of Wales. The spokesperson added, "We are always guided as to when we can announce trips like this by the advice given to us by his private security advisors and the events security team." Now, they claim that this visit, months of planning went into this visit, which also, again, I'd say, why were you wearing a Dodgers hat at that game? But the idea that he's finding a way to blame not having royal protection, like you could have released it on a Tuesday. Literally, there's no reason you had to release it the day you released it.
First of all, if he's that concerned about being a target, why are you announcing this trip at all? Why are you not just showing up? You're
Which
going to get
he's
the
done before.
headlines either way.
Yeah,
You
which he's
just show
done
up.
before. Yeah, yeah.
So number one, number two, it's so sad and childish and pathetic that he is still publicly perseverating on not getting the degree of security that he wants, that makes him feel, but part of him loves it because we're a victim. We're a perpetual victim. We're a perpetual target. A target means I'm important. I'm as important as my brother over here. Oh, you mean for the 200th time, I just happened to announce that I'm doing something the same day my brother, the future king, is? What a coincidence. Don't read into that. I don't have any issues of inferiority complexes of any kind. Okay. Oh, sure. I believe it. Who doesn't believe that?
Yeah. No, I think we're not buying it at all. Did you have a chance to well, also, do you remember Remembrance Day? Like the fact that Harry's trying to still have his foot in Remembrance Day,
Hmm.
you know, there was a real anger from him when the palace said they were no longer going to include him, whether it was a wreath or whether, they were no
Hmm.
longer going to include him in anything that they did moving forward. And so I think that it's Remembrance Day where he walks across an American cemetery with a photographer. And
Meghan was with him, right?
yeah,
It was
like
their first year here.
right. And it's just like, what, move on. Fine. I'm not saying he shouldn't acknowledge it, but I he doesn't acknowledge it consistently. And so it's hard for me to go, okay, well, that makes sense that he's going to be in Canada and do this. I'm not going to criticize it. I think I'm critical because he picks and chooses when he does acknowledge it and how he acknowledges it. Am I just being too hateful in that
It's not
capacity?
hateful. I think you're absolutely mischaracterizing your take on this. I think you're applying critical thinking to get to a logical conclusion. That first Remembrance Day that those two pulled that stunt, I thought it was disgusting. I thought it was disgusting. You are walking through hallowed ground, a cemetery, of veterans who gave their lives for this country. And if it really means that much to you as a veteran yourself, you do it privately. You do not call back grid or TMZ or whoever the F you called, and you don't take your slapper of a wife who decides to don her best funereal garb and her best serious face, one tear, left eye, go, and then make sure that image gets circulated to every media entity. But we want privacy. That's why we left. We want privacy. And it was so egregious that even the palace had to make a statement. And they did not want to keep that
Yeah.
tether between two people who had left in outrage because they weren't getting everything they wanted, and and a monarchy that was trying to survive what they clearly knew were going to be slings and arrows out of what was this ostensible rival court in Montecito. I believe that that little stunt was also not long after we cried racism on
Oh,
Oprah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, also, I think that there's just their actions don't match what they say, and that's I think we should always celebrate our veterans all over the world. Obviously, I love veterans and I appreciate their sacrifice. I'm not criticizing Harry acknowledging them because I do think it's important that we all acknowledge them. But he
But
released
why with cameras? He's
right.
not a working
Well,
royal.
and he
Why
released
not
this.
issue a statement? And if it's
Well,
that
well,
profound and
wait.
sacred,
He issues a statement today saying that we should knock on our veterans' doors and ask them, and if we can sit down for tea with them and ask them to tell us their stories. Maureen, this is the same man that turned away a veteran that showed up on his doorstep in Montecito,
yes,
videos and books that he had put together about the history of Montecito. This veteran was so eager to meet them to tell them why
yes.
he loved Montecito and was turned away. Harry and Meghan heard about this story because it was in the news and never did any sort of outreach to say, we're sorry, we want to invite you over, show us your movies, show us your books about Montecito, we want to learn about the town. It's just that the actions never meeting the words with these two, the way that they contradict themselves through their own behavior, that's what frustrates me.
Well, the corollary is, Megan's smile that never actually meets the eyes, you know? The eyes never light up whenever we're smiling. We actually typically intuit a lot of rage and a lot of anger behind that. He's such a dummy.
Yeah.
Oh, what you should do for Veterans Day is go knock on the door of your local veteran. How you would know that, I have no idea. And by the way, Harry, if you've ever known a real veteran who's been through a war and somehow survived it, my father was a veteran of the Vietnam War. They don't want to tell their stories, okay? They lived through something so horrific and specific and may have had to take lives that, they don't want to talk about it. He's such an idiot. And it gives so much credence to the idea that when he did serve, he was called like Bunker Harry or Hunker Down Harry or something because they
Yeah.
never put him anywhere near any danger. And he was basically playing video games all day. So shut it. Just
Yeah.
shut it.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, he was destroyed when he wrote in Spare about murdering 20, I mean, killing, whatever, taking down 25 Taliban. I don't know the proper way to say that, but anybody that had actually served said you don't put those numbers out there. You don't. It's a sacred. It's a sacred secret.
And
You
yes, and you don't celebrate it as he did, as a sort of reflection of one's masculinity and bravery. What you do, like that you would have to take lives in war should be so horrific to you that they call them the invisible wounds, the silent struggles and the silent, like he's full of it. I don't even believe he did that. I actually don't believe he did that.
Well, and then he wants security. It's like if you really thought your life was in jeopardy, you wouldn't be bragging about taking down members of the Taliban because you would realize that that would put a target on your back. So we're not the only one mocking Harry's book right now. Did you watch any of the Hassan Minaj interview with Harry and the comedian?
No, you know why? I have a little bit of a I don't really care about Hassan Minaj, but in my previous job, he was getting a big profile at the outlet where I worked, and they assigned me to it, and Hassan Minaj said, "I will not talk to her because he and his people were afraid of me, which I love. But also, you just be, if you're going to be in the ring, just be in the ring. Don't be such a freaking loser or coward.
We also know about the profile. Again, no, Harry and Meghan not doing their due diligence in the New Yorker, where they say he's basically a race baiter who lied about experiencing racism.
Yes.
Yeah, and they talked to friends and they talked to colleagues and people he went to school with, and they all were like, "That is not the experience he had here." He uses these racism stories to elevate himself and for his comedy, and they're simply not true. And so it's like convenient that race baiter Harry ends up on a race baiter's podcast in Hassan Minaj. But yeah, it was just a very cringe interview. And he pokes fun at Harry in Spare for writing that he got an official clothing allowance, but only for formal wear, and that he had to purchase his street clothes from TK Maxx. And Tassan Minaj says, "Bro, I'm sorry you had to go through that." So obviously, like poking fun at him, which I think is totally appropriate. Then they did a rapid fire question where he asked what his kids think he does for a living. And Harry responds, "They know I help other people." Harry can't even define what he does for a living. He asked him also if he would become a US citizen, and Harry said there are no plans to be at this point, but he kind of left it open ended. But what was really annoying was that Harry was there to talk about keeping kids off social media. And this is like 24 to 48 hours after Meghan accidentally posted videos clearly showing the kids' faces that she inevitably edits out.
Mm-hmm.
But Meghan is, we'll talk about Harry's feeling. I mean, we can talk about them now, but the New York Post reporting that Harry really loathes Meghan pushing their home life on social media, and he's really uncomfortable with it. But also, like, what makes him an expert on keeping kids off social media when his paparazzi wife is inching closer and closer to the reveal?
Oh, Kinsey, you and I have been talking about this for months now. That it's only a matter of when,
Dollars,
not
dollars.
if, and dollars, or desperation, truly, that Meghan reveals the photo, the faces of the children who we otherwise had to keep completely anonymous because they're such targets, right?
Well, unless you watch unless you watch the Harry and Meghan docu series, where for the right price we saw plenty of their children.
But they were babies back then, right?
Yeah, but
Like indistinguishable features.
thanks to artificial intelligence, we could probably know exactly what they look like if we cared. I don't, but
Well, what I think is interesting is that Harry is allowing this to be publicly known. Again, he's such a eunuch. She really just like sliced those gonads off. But if he really, really, really cared, he'd be exercising whatever leverage he's got behind closed doors to tell her, listen, knock it off, or I'm going to divorce you, and I'm going to make this really ugly, and I'm going to get those kids back to the UK. And when I'm done with you, you won't get hired at Walmart, you know? But instead, he's got to leak these pathetic drips and drabs to like Page Six or TMZ or Radar. I mean, how? Again, we were once a royal, and now we're like Colin Harvey Levin. Listen, man, do me a solid. Just print that I'm upset with this. I don't like it. Do something about it if you don't like it. Don't
yeah.
go to, it's all so just it all just goes again to the chipping away of whatever was left of Harry's dignity, whatever was left of it.
I also have a very hard time considering him an expert on anything digital or, social media when this is the same man who took a call from Greta Thunberg and proceeded to talk smack about Donald Trump having blood on his hands and even trying to distance himself from Prince Andrew in the midst of this call, to then later realize it was Russian Russian YouTube pranksters that had convinced him and his team that they were Greta Thunberg. I mean, how are you a credible expert on anything when you're such a moron?
And by the way, like let's assume it really had been like for like a thought experiment, it really had been Greta, that little doom goblin. Uh, you know, that's not a person you should be having a one-on-one with. And again, it goes to the lack of his own, you would think having grown up as a royal, at that level with a mother, by the way. I know he spent a lot of time at private school, in boarding school, but that media savvy, that you would make sure you had a team and a trusted right-hand person who vetted everyone who was coming anywhere near you. You want to do an interview? These are the security measures. We're going to make sure you don't have your own recording of it that you can leak to social media. Make sure that the person who says they're on the other end of the line is actually the person who says they're on the other end of the line.
Exactly. This was at the time, though, where they were locking down and becoming super secretive because they were about to announce to the world before the British royal family that they were stepping back. I think it happened during their Christmas stay in Canada. So they probably thought, we're so important. Greta wants to talk to us. Let's take the call. The royals don't even know what's about to hit them. And then he looks like a freaking idiot. So yeah, we talked about that page 6 story. Here are some of the quotes really quickly. He's very aware of her parading him around. He doesn't love the social media display. He also does not like that Meghan is tying her latest as ever products to their royal wedding. And why would you? Lady Elizabeth Anson told us everything we need to know about what a nightmare that wedding was for the British royal family. So just continue to remind us that you are a bridezilla. A source says that Harry is aware that things like that are not a great look and Fergie-esque. Meghan is the second coming. The shine has worn off, which is fair at this point in a relationship, said the source, but he's also blown up his life for her. Plus, he's used to being universally loved. The source said now it's the exact opposite, actively booed, which was kind of fun to see at the Dodgers game. That was kind of a glorious moment for us. And then breaking today, and thank you so much for sending. I saw this text at 5 a.m. and said, "That's my girl, keeping me on top of things." A Hollywood source tells Page 6 that when it comes to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, there is not only no appetite left for them in LA, but they've also worn through any goodwill they had. Another source tells Page 6 people are sick of them. The act has gotten stale. Now, initially I'm annoyed by this because I'm like, Maureen and I've been saying this for a year, but it's actually kind of nice to hear it from someone else when we have people that disagree with us and say we don't know what the hell they're talking about. It is kind of comforting when I open up an article like this and go, okay, well, I'm not the only one saying it.
Well, actually, I think there's two things. One, I never do this, but I would humbly like to take credit for Harry coming to the comparison that to the realization that Meghan is not, in fact, the Diana 2.0, but is in fact Fergie 2.0, because I wrote a column for the Daily Mail last week that went wild, and that's what I said. I said that she's not Diana, she's Fergie. She's grubby, grimy, desperate Fergie who will sell and merchandise anything royal related. And I think when this is all said and done, Meghan will wind up as Flotsam washing up at the front door of QVC HQ in Pennsylvania. Okay, trying to market, because Fergie's done QVC. I mean,
well, basically that's what With Love Meghan is.
Well, yeah. I mean, she thinks it's like bespoke. She thinks she's on the level of Gwyneth, whose company, by the way, has never turned a profit ever, but at least has a veneer of sophistication and aspiration. And then, yeah, no, it's wild to me. And then the thing about finally people are saying it, I don't think that they're just realizing it. What I think is interesting is that the timing is such that they now feel they can say it out loud, that Hollywood can say, we want nothing to do with them, that Hollywood can say they wore out their welcome a long time ago. Have you noticed, as we have been saying, that for years, A-listers have been keeping their distance? They're finally saying it. Why are they saying it? Why? This is why. The king, with I believe this was really William's muscle, really William's power moves, stripped Andrew of everything. Nobody ever thought a King Charles would allow this. That's his brother. He was the Queen's favorite son, and he went with it. And this is why people see exactly, you want to be a team loser with these two over here who are going, their trajectory is downward at a rapid descent rather, or do you want to be team future King of England and his wife Catherine, who are seen as the future and have not set a foot really wrong publicly?
Man, I think about that all the time with Oprah Winfrey. I'm like, why did you back this horse? Because there's no way William and Catherine will ever give you access. And
Ever.
Yeah, and William and Catherine do engage with American publications, but and American media, but there's
Mhm.
no way that William and Catherine will let Oprah Winfrey anywhere near them. Okay, so a source tells Page Six that the couple have no finesse when it comes to business. I love that quote. They're just hopeless in professional settings. Oh my God, this is my favorite part. We're told Harry even allegedly showed up late to a Netflix meeting and then asked an executive for a cup of hot chocolate. They say this is apparently his go-to beverage of choice. And again, they uh, throw back to that Vanity Fair story about how he loved it so much that Spotify creatives were like, maybe we should make a podcast out of this. Harry grading hot chocolate, and Harry's team actually contemplated it before passing on the idea. Meanwhile, Meghan's convinced she's smarter than everyone and dismissive, says the source. Another source tells us that Markle is the one in the couple who controls everything. Duh. The hot chocolate thing is hilarious because you've been to meetings. What they usually say is, "Can I get you a coffee or a water?" And this creep, this like man child, has the audacity to say, "Do you have a hot chocolate?" I mean, Meghan Markle, you married a 10-year-old.
This is so, this has so, I just want to peel this like an onion just for like a minute, just because like this detail sang to me like nothing else. Okay. To your point, you go into a meeting, you go into a boardroom. This is high level stuff, by the way. You're meeting with Netflix executives. First, he asks the executive. He doesn't ask an assistant. Okay. They make themselves known. Number two, to your point, this is exactly what they say. Would you like coffee? Would you like tea? We have iced coffee, hot tea, iced tea, water, still sparkling, iced, room temperature. That's a panoply of options, okay? That is gracious stuff. This man, he's a child. He is stuck at 10 years old. He goes in and he's like, California, by the way, California. You know what I'd love? I'd love a hot chocolate with some marshmallows. Hey, Netflix exec, can you get that for me? You know, you look like a moron. You look like like if I were seated in that meeting, that would have been the beginning and the end for me mentally.
Yeah.
I would be like, there's no way I'm getting into business with a middle-aged man who walks into a Netflix suite at 75 degrees average outside and refuses polite offers of what's standard coffees, teas, waters. No, I want a hot chocolate. And by the way, there was another report, or there was a speculation as to why Meghan didn't fold in hot chocolate. Or you said this to me in the
Yeah.
text. You said,
Yeah.
this is why Meghan didn't fold in a bespoke hot chocolate, Harry's favorite hot chocolate, to as ever, to personalize this a little bit. She is embarrassed by him.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense.
She
Because yeah,
knows he's
I
a
text
child.
I texted you and I'm like, how does if hot chocolate is so important to him, how does she not have a hot chocolate? That's so simple to make. And it's great for kids. And she's trying to be like mommy of the year. And that is, you're right. She is embarrassed of him because she knows if she does something like that, stories like this will continue to circulate. It's also the fact that he had the audacity to show up late. If I show up late
Yes.
there, then I'm not saying, can I have a water? I'm not asking for anything special if I'm late. If I'm late, let's get down to business. I apologize. Let's focus here. I'm not going, let me inconvenience you by asking for a hot chocolate. I mean, he lives in his own little world.
That detail about being late is so salient too, because if you are in this contracting media landscape, lucky enough to land a meeting with Netflix executives who clearly are inclined to give you $100 million, I think that's inflated. I think there
Yeah.
were all kinds of clauses involved in that. But if you really give a crap, you are probably having trouble sleeping the night before.
Mm.
You've probably set three different alarms around your house to make sure you get out of bed at 5 in the morning. You make sure you are freshly showered, shaved, and you have three different looks that you can choose from in the morning based on the weather, based on how you feel, based on if you're feeling a little bloated, whatever. You've
Hey,
got
son, if
three
you
different.
if you might spill hot chocolate on your shirt.
Then you make sure you have not only raised this out of that route and gone through multiple traffic permutations, but you make sure you are leaving at least an hour to 90 minutes early, because then you take the stress off of yourself that you know you're going to get there on time, if not early. And by the way, listen to Tom Ford. I would like everyone to listen to Tom Ford, just about everything. Being early is being on time for stuff like this. That is how you show respect. You get there and you sit in that waiting room 10 minutes early. You just let them know you're there. You're there. He's
Also, it's just to your point. What else do you do, Harry? You know, you told Hassan Minaj like all you really do is surf. So why are you running late to this meeting? What else do you do? You lost Senabale. You know, you African Parks Charity is a you know what show, and you're not making any comments on it falling apart. The Invictus Games aren't for another few years. So what else is it that you do that would require or that would make you late to an important meeting? I mean,
Kinsey.
that's true. That's true. You're always a little sluggish when you've had some Mary Jane.
You
Sluggish.
know, uppers, downers, dolls, whatever
Oh
we
my
might be
gosh.
allegedly, reportedly doing in our downtime to take the edge
Allegedly.
off. I mean,
Well,
did he not look like kind of like, affected in that video that we all saw of the World Series? I mean, he looks
yeah,
catatonic.
right, exactly. Well, and then he's weird in the Hassan Minaj video too. He's super weird in that. And
Really?
yeah, I do not know what he was thinking. But again, it's like, honestly, based on everything historical and meaningful that's currently happening in London within the palace, you and I should not have this much content to talk about them. They should have disappeared. But there is a desperation and an anxiousness about them right now
Hmm.
that I just are they trying to wrap up 2025 on a high? Did they just say, screw it? The royal family's going to take our titles, so we have to do everything we can right now and just grab any
Hmm.
opportunity we can. I
Hmm.
still have no idea why that woman was at Paris Fashion Week. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, what? Chill out. Nobody wants to see you anywhere.
You're so right. And my theory about really uh the precipitating event for William to go DEFCON 1 was Meghan posting that reel of herself in the back of her chauffeured limo with her feet up in repose, driving by the tunnel in which Diana died. Okay, or she died later at the hospital, but she was fatally, mortally wounded. I think that was it for him. I think he
Yeah.
effing had it. And it's very gratifying. Again, I cannot say it enough. Those of the your Americans over here, we are all team William. We
Hmm.
will cheer in the streets. Like her, like when Mandela was
Yeah.
free.
Dancing in the streets for Meghan Markle. Like, man,
We will be, as I've said before, you and I are going to drop everything and we're going to do a live broadcast the minute those titles go. That's it.
we will wear a morning attire for Harry and Meghan, maybe.
What
Just,
would your morning attire be for real?
oh, I got this really cute, what do they call it? It's the kind of hat Jackie O made
A
famous, pill
pillbox?
hat. Yeah, pillbox hat. Oh, I got the cutest one from Anthropology.
Oh, very sweet. Very
Yeah,
sweet.
thank you.
This is actually a really good, really good thing I should think about. Like, what would be the proper thing to wear, for our joint, live coverage of the stripping of the titles?
It's going to be glorious.
Yeah, and I think the timing will be impeccable because, William and Catherine know exactly what they're doing. Uh, I think I like your theory that actually the desperation, it's because they know it's coming. It's maybe one of the few things they're not in denial about, that we're seeing stunts like that feel really, really, uh, low rent and, grasping, desperate. It makes me wonder how she's going to attempt to handle the rollout surrounding the holiday episode, the Christmas episode of With Love, Megan.
Are we going to
You
get
know,
more Drew? Are we going to get more Drew Barrymore?
I don't think Drew would have her.
Really?
I don't think she's going to get. She can't even really get. Remember, we talked about, in the lead up to season one, part B, which dropped in September, Netflix didn't put any money into
Nope.
promoting it. They
Nope.
actually, it was almost like they wanted it to go unnoticed. You know, they
Right.
had to ditch it, they had to stream it. Meghan wasn't on the cover of any publication of import, print or digital. She wasn't getting a sit down with the likes of CBS Sunday Morning or the Today, anything that like still exists. Like, you know, if she were a likable person, she would have been booked by this point on Kelly Clarkson, who really has become
Go
America's
to.
best friend. Yeah.
Our Sherry, can you imagine Megan dancing down the hallway that they do where they write a song about you and they sit? Can you imagine Megan walking down that? Please, don't let that ever happen. I hope I didn't just manifest this. All right. Well, agree with us, disagree with us. What a jam-packed show. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. And make sure you head on over to the Nerve to watch all of your royal coverage as well. You've got the mini Nerve this weekend where you're going to dissect that Dodgers game video, the big win video. So I look forward to seeing that too.
The
And
basement tapes, as it were.
the basement tapes. This is exactly when Harry's soul leaves his body. See it? Thanks so much for being here with me today. I enjoyed your company. Obviously, I kept you way later than I was supposed to. And thanks to everybody watching.
Bye, Kinsey. Always fun.